World, YouTube. I don't know who needs to hear this, but I'll just say it before I carry on with the video. Follow your heart, follow your dreams, believe in yourself, never lose sight of who you are and what you want to be and what you want to accomplish in this life. So, with that said, we all have energy fields that surround us. We have energy field within our bodies, but we also have energy fields that surround us. Some of our energy fields, seem bigger than others. And, whether we're in the presence of another person, we can feel that other person's energy field. They're like right in front of us, in our presence. Or whether we walk into a room, our energy field feels that room and everyone absorbs it. Whether we say or do anything, they know we're there and they know a lot more about us than we realize that they know about us. Or whether if we're out in nature where everything's alive and our energy field is just interacting with all of the other energy fields of the life forms out in nature with us. We all have these energy fields, and a common name that they call these, it's an aura. It's an aura, but auras go pretty deep. Auras are just more than just an energy field. And in this video, that's what I'm going to talk about, our auras. I'm going to kind of go through some detail about some common popular things in regards to auras, and even some deeper things that we find in esoteric literature in regards to what an aura is. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about what an aura is, how they interact with other auras, the different parts of our auras. And I'm also going to talk about how auras look and how auras feel, and how do we even know how do we know an aura is in our vicinity. I'm going to talk about things like that, and at the end of the video, it's really like the second half, but in the second half of the video, I'm going to share my experience with seeing auras. At one point, I was seeing auras very clearly, very vividly, and I'm going to share that experience and talk about it. And yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting, I think. So thank you for showing up, and let's go. Let's talk about this. Auras.
As I was learning more and more about auras, I came across quite a bit of information about halos. Initially, I thought them to be the same thing or related. In a lot of ancient art, halos were usually used to depict people as being divine, illuminated, enlightened. It was even used as like a status symbol. In my life, I've never seen anything on a person or around a person that I would identify as being a halo. So with that said about halos, now let's talk about auras. Within psychic, esoteric, and spiritual circles, auras were thought to be something that could be looked into to determine a person's well-being, their health, their mind states, their karma, just really personal information about them. Some even believe, know, feel that it's possible to capture the aura of a person, another living creature, through technology. Here's an image of Kirlian photography. That's one form of technology that they feel can capture the aura of living things, living creatures. In well-respected esoteric literature, auras have been really broken down into a bunch of different parts that serve different purposes, like you see in this illustration here. Now, I haven't been learning about this for that long, just some years. And I don't really know exactly how these different parts of the aura, whether they work all together as one or whether each part of the aura works on a different plane of reality. I'm not filled in on that yet. But the knowledge and information about auras, it goes deep and is out there and it's available to us. The colors of auras that living creatures put out have been tied to and associated with chakras. And as you can see in this diagram, like the highly spiritual colors, like at the top near the head, the violet and the indigo, an aura with those colors would indicate a person that's highly spiritual, highly intuitive. And the further you go down, you go down to the middle, you have like the green. The green is pretty balanced, and it represents a person who they're helpful, they're hopeful, they help people, they're selfless, and it's like the middle ground, the green. And the further you go down, it becomes more primal. It becomes more real. And if you look at the bottom, at the bottom, it's all about passion and really strong energies and really strong thoughts and feelings. I guess you could associate it with things like really strong urges like sex and food. So again, at the top, the highly spiritual things, the things that are otherworldly, and you get to the middle, it becomes more balanced, and at the bottom, it's very primal, very instinctual type of things. And if you see these colors within the aura of a person, it would indicate the type of energy, the type of feelings that's permeating through that person's being or that creature's being. Here's another picture of auras and chakras and their associations with one another. Now, if a person has an aura that contains some dark colors, such as gray, brown, black even, this indicates that a person has like some really dark energies. Like maybe they're in a really low mental place. Maybe they're really sick or something like this. Or maybe they could be about to do something that they shouldn't do. They're likely going through some challenging times in their life.
So now let me talk about my own personal experiences with me dealing with auras and seeing and feeling auras. Things I just talked about were like popular things, the common things that you find when you do research. But I've had my own personal experiences, and I'll share those with you. And they're a little bit different from the information that I just gave you, because the information that I just gave you is not, much of it is not my real experiences. It's just the information that you get through researching. But in my situation, and I'll explain it by telling a story about myself and things that I experienced and the ways that I felt and some realizations that I came to. It was about 5 or 6 years ago, around 2014, 2015. And at this time, I was at a point in my life where I realized that I had been living far too artificially. And I came to a point where I was toxic. I was like blue light toxic, technology toxic, and I didn't feel good. I had trouble sleeping, a lot of things. And I tried among a lot of other things, I tried blocking the blue light. I bought the orange glasses. I honestly didn't believe it at all. I thought it was BS. But it worked so well that it was the trigger that made me go into like a big deep dive to try to learn more about my disconnect with the sun and my disconnect with nature. And at this time, I also got a job that it sent me to an area where it was very natural. It was isolated, and I really didn't want to go to that place because I wanted to be around people. But the conditions of the job were pretty good, so I took that chance. And once I got there, and I was immersed in nature in that place, I felt like I was right at home. It ended up being a really good move. I guess the universe aligned me with that for a reason, for a purpose. And while there at that job, I had lots of opportunities. I had lots of opportunities at that job to, like, almost every day, I was able to get a couple hours of sunshine. I was able to sun gaze a lot. You know, it was a really good situation, and it really exposed me. I learned like how deep a connection with nature could be, and how beautiful it was, and how beneficial it was. So it was a really good time. And also at that job, there was a rotation of new people from month to month, and like some months into it, being immersed in nature and being able to just stay connected and and everything with it, I began to notice that when I was looking at a lot of the people around me, they had like a glow to them. They were like a fuzzy, glowy tint to them, and I didn't know what it was. I thought it was like from all of the sun gazing. I thought maybe it was a problem with my vision, but there were new people, coming and going month by month, and I noticed that the glows were different. And I'll continue my story in a moment. And before I continue my story, I'll talk about some of the more natural energy fields and auric fields that we have, that we know about, and we're very aware of. And I'm going to talk about some of these, then I'll get back to my story.
So let me talk about some of our human energy fields that we are very familiar with. I'll start with the things backed by science, and then I'll go to the things that are more intuitive. If you look at this is it's a map of infrared light. How our bodies radiate infrared light. Infrared light is basically heat, and of course we use it to heat ourselves. It's like basic life energy for us, and we constantly put this out. But we also put out UV light, and UV light is we put that out when our bodies are under a lot of stress. And UV light is, if you're not familiar with what UV light is
is what we absorb from the sun, and it builds our vitamin D. And vitamin D keeps us healthy, keeps our immune system strong. And UV light is the strongest light that we get from the sun. It's a major regenerative light. And there's a fine line between, what we consider UV of being safe and not being safe. But yeah, when we're under a lot of stress, we put out UV light. But under normal circumstances, we put out infrared light, as you can see in this diagram here. When we think about our bodies on a very, very small atomic electrons and proton level, we basically turn to nothing. We become invisible. It becomes just nothingness. And all that we are is an electric field. And when we touch another person, we're touching our electric field to their electric field. And of course, our fields are impenetrable to one another. It's often said that we are bioelectrical in nature. And if we follow the laws of electricity, the flow of electricity creates a magnetic field. Through technology, they can detect like a 10 or 15 feet magnetic field from our hearts, which means the heart is like a major energy center within our bodies. And with the magnetic field, it's very different from an electric field, as I just talked about a moment ago. Unlike electric fields, magnetic fields can penetrate other matter pretty well. As I talked about before, our electric fields cannot penetrate one another's electric fields, but our magnetic fields can penetrate one another's magnetic fields and even one another's energy fields. And I believe that is where the information gets shared. That's where we share our information with one another. So what about some of the more intuitive ways that we pick up information from people that are nearby us? Like, for example, we're out somewhere, we're alone, or we think we're alone, and suddenly you feel like someone's watching you. You feel it, you know it, and you look around and they're right there. Or maybe they're not, but you felt it and it was strong and you just knew that's what it was. Or situations where you're alone or you're not alone, you're completely around lots of people, and you just know that someone's staring at you, and you turn around and you look them straight in the eyes. You just kind of know these things. And could these occurrences be our energy fields interacting with one another and sharing information amongst us?
So back to my story. Some months went by, and I was, seeing the people as they came and went, and I noticed that they had this glow to them. They had like this light coming out of them, like it was like a glow, like a light. It wasn't really like what I talked about earlier about seeing colors coming out of people. I saw they like glowed. I didn't see like colors really. It was just kind of a glow, and I could kind of feel from that glow, or the type of glow that it was, like the type of like various energies coming out of the people, and I could feel them in different ways. I was quite a lot more sensitive to this type of thing, and I began to just really pay attention to this, and I realized that it wasn't all in my mind. I realized that there was something to this. It wasn't just my vision altered. It was me sensing a whole lot more than I had been sensing before. And I began to really pay attention, and it became really interesting to me. It became my ally. I began to be able to see, like, read into people more. I could read into their feelings. I could look into their health. I could look into their mind. I could tell if they were heartbroken. You know, if they had been heartbroken for a while. I could really like sense a lot of stuff. And a lot of it, I thought it was all in my mind, but I realized that that I was just becoming just really sensitive to that type of thing. It was kind of like I could tap into like their energy. That's what it felt like. And also during this time, my then girlfriend, we had been together for a couple of years, and I kind of felt like a new person with being, you know, sensing all of these new things and these new sensations. And I began to see her even, you know, a lot different from the way I saw her. It's like I could really look inside of her. That's what it felt like. And I saw her very differently from the way I had been seeing her. And she, you know, she's a wonderful person. Nothing bad about her, nothing bad to say. But I began to see that, you know, who she was, it was very, very different from who I thought she was. And I didn't know if, you know, I was compatible for her. I don't know if we could feed each other's soul over the long term. Anyways, this was the peak of my experience, the peak of my sensitivity. And this went on for like the next couple of years, actually. And, you know, even up till now, I could still kind of see, but it's nowhere like it was. Now I'm a whole lot more sensitive to like the emotional output of people. I'm catching like a lot of their feelings and things like this. The visual stuff, not so much nowadays, but sensing and picking up on the feelings of people. I'm pretty sensitive to it now, and sometimes it gets a little bit too much. Like I don't want to feel a lot of what I feel when I'm around people. You know, you know, it gets, you know, the empathic feelings, they become overwhelming sometimes. And I guess, you know, it's just cycles that we go through. And, you know, whether, you know, my experiences and the feelings that I've gotten are actually the auras that I'm picking up or not, this is what I see as auras. And, you know, their energy fields, and by definition, from what I've learned of what auras are, these have been auras that I've been experiencing. So I decided to talk about them. And I'll end my video by saying this: no matter what you feel, you know, in life, and you know, you kind of wonder if it's all in your head or not, and things like this. They're not all in your head. Your feelings, the feelings that you have inside of you are just as real as the experiences that you have outside of you. I mean, who is anybody else to tell you that what you feel is not real? And who are you to tell, or anyone else to tell anyone else that what they feel and what they see is not real? So thank you for watching my video. I appreciate you. I love you. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, browse my channel. And again, I love you all, and I'll see you around in the future. You all take care.